Hello Bit2Mers. Today we are going to talk about what are Bitcoin transactions and how do they work. Let's start. Transactions, also called TX, are an essential part of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. They allow us to use and enjoy our funds quickly, securely, and efficiently. In Bitcoin, transactions can be understood as sending Bitcoins between people using the network. In reality, they are nothing more than records stored within the Bitcoin blockchain. Messages that contain information can be easily found within the network. How do Bitcoin transactions work? To make a Bitcoin transaction, we need a client for the cryptocurrency, better known as a purse or wallet. Wallets allow us to manage our funds quickly and securely. We can make or receive transactions in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies with them. How are transactions made up? The elements that make up a Bitcoin transaction are the following. Inputs. These are references to an output of a previous transaction that has not been used in any other transaction. They contain the address where the Bitcoins were initially received. Outputs. They contain the address to which the transfer is made and the amount sent. They also have the exchange or return addresses where the transaction returns are sent. Identifier, TXID. Each transaction made will have its hash, a unique value that helps identify each transaction within the network generated from the inputs and outputs. Commission rate, fee. The price is the small payment miners receive for processing a transaction. The miner who generates a block will receive all the costs for all the transactions included in the block. In Bitcoin, the transaction processing is done thanks to Bitcoin scripting, a powerful programming language that allows Bitcoin to have great potential. Within the network, the data included in the transactions go through a cryptographic process of hashing and asymmetric cryptography, which ensures that the information is correctly secured and validated. Thus, to carry out a Bitcoin transaction, the issuer must have access to public addresses and the private keys associated with those Bitcoins. The private key is what allows us to sign and send a transaction, while the public address functions as a mailing address or a bank account number where we make or receive the transaction. Types of Bitcoin transactions. Coinbase. A Coinbase transaction allows miners to generate or activate new cryptocurrencies. Mining nodes can add only one Coinbase transaction for each new block. Thus, the system ensures that the miner receives only the reward due and that new coins that have never been on the blockchain before coming into circulation. Within this transaction, fees from transactions processed by the miner are added to the block. UTXO. UTXOs are unspent coins. In Bitcoin, transaction inputs are also called UTXOs from a previous transaction. That is unspent transaction outputs, and they contain the change or returns proceeds of a transaction. UXTOs cannot be split. Therefore, when a Bitcoin transaction is performed, regardless of the amount, the transaction sends the total amount of Bitcoins available in one direction and creates two outputs, one for the sent amount and one for the exchanged Bitcoins. To send cryptocurrencies, you need two things, an address and a private key. The cryptocurrency wallet handles both parts. The address is the public key of the cryptocurrency owner's private key. It is a mathematically generated, advanced, random letters and numbers sequence. A Bitcoin address follows a specific and unrepeatable pattern starting with the character 1, which identifies it as a Bitcoin address and not that of another cryptocurrency. Through an address, a user can make a transaction, enrolling it in the wallet and determining the amount to send. Once this is done, the user uses his private key to sign the transaction entries, which is a process performed transparently by the wallet. Once the transaction is approved, it is retransmitted and shared among all the nodes in the network, which validate and register it within the network. Can cryptocurrency transactions be counterfeited? No. Forging a cryptocurrency transaction is impossible. Once a transaction has been issued, confirmed, and added to the network, it cannot be altered, modified, or hidden in the network in any way. What if I only want to send part of a Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, can be divided into many decimal places, so sending a payment with small amounts, such as 100 millionths of its value, is possible. The smallest unit in Bitcoin is the Satoshi, named after its creator, the unknown Satoshi Nakamoto. This is the smallest value we can have in Bitcoin. However, The network applies a security measure, which prevents sending transactions for deals less than 546 satoshis, 0.0000546 BTC. This is to avoid dusting attacks on the web. Advantages of Bitcoin transactions. Speed. In Bitcoin, a transaction is done quickly, efficiently, and inexpensively, and it does not require the approval of any central entity. It is possible to send a transaction within this network in a few minutes. Irreversibility. Once a transaction is made in Bitcoin and added to the blockchain, it is virtually impossible to reverse or modify. Bitcoin transactions are carried out using public addresses and private keys, making it possible to receive payments securely and guarantee the ownership of the funds received. And finally, cheaper fees. The fees or commissions paid to miners are deficient compared to the percentages requested by banks or other traditional systems. Regardless of the amount, a Bitcoin transaction can cost only pennies on the dollar. This is because the fees are not calculated based on the amount of the transaction but on the size of the transaction on the network. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our latest content. If you want to learn more about this topic, visit the article in Bit2Me Academy. You can find the link in the description. Until next time.